got a quick weekend video for you guys. Some huge changes that are going to be coming to the Spotlight cache system. They have been hearing our feedback, so make sure you keep giving it if you've got issues. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with what they're changing and how you feel about it. All right, so I've got family in town. I wanted to do a quick video on this just to make sure anybody who might have missed it. We got several tweets over the last few days that are specifically from Second Dinner about the concerns with Spotlight caches. The first one called attention to this, basically saying that they understand that the random Series 4 and 5 card from the Spotlight caches needs work. If you are unfamiliar, that's this one here. I've already opened 2, so I've gotten the other 2 cards. The third card I could have gotten was Kang. I already got the Echo. I already got the Iron Lad. There's that 4 spot, which is the random one, and it can be a duplicate, which turns into a variant. And sometimes that variant can be some of these 700 gold cards that people don't really love to get. So let's see specifically what they say here. Again, shout out to Marvel Snap Bugle. Follow them if you're not already. They do some pretty good job of making sure all the Discord posts get out onto the Twitter sphere so that we know what's up in case you miss it on Discord. They're basically asking what metrics they're looking at regarding the performance Spotlight cache. I don't want to read every single part of this. Tucker does focus on written feedback is one of very important piece of the overall puzzle and gets combined with data for the full picture. And then he's got some questions here. Are more Series 4 and 5 cards getting into players' hands? Are more games being played with Series 4 and 5 cards? Is getting a card like Living Tribunal encourage experimentation to play with that card? And that specific one, just for the record, I've seen so many more Living Tribunals lately. It's been bonkers. So I'm guessing that box has been checked. Also, he says, what percentage of players have the experience described in the negative feedback? That's something that anytime you see out there, everyone's negative, they're looking at the data. So it's a good analytical approach. They hear, but they also look and analyze. So it's not one or the other. There's some stuff that they've already got a clear answer on, and this is part of the important part. On a macro level, like high arching, 3,000 foot above, Spotlight cache is doing a lot of work to get more cards into players' hands and entice experimentation with cards that have traditionally been off meta. LT. It's ironing that exactly. So they're seeing that same thing that we're probably all seeing as well. At least I have been. From that perspective, we're happy with the system. Okay, that makes sense. Zooming in, we can clearly see parts of the system that are missing the mark. Looking at you, random Series 4 and 5 card. So this was the first time that they addressed this was a problem and that they knew it. This was a few days ago. I was really happy to see that they knew about this. They said, we know that part needs work. And then he goes on to say how they intervene depends on a lot of the data they see. Negative feedback and negative data would be a major overhaul, while negative feedback and positive data would be a more tactical intervention to address the specific pain points. So far, what we're seeing very much suggests the latter. So they're thinking about those tactical points. Again, the focus on this one, though, is the fact that they address and know that those random Series 4 and 5 cards are a problem on the Spotlight caches. Then a day later, they've got more acknowledgement from Second Dinner about the Spotlight needing to be adjusted to get better. And I again say this is huge, and I just make a joke about Diablo 4 and Snap having issues at the same time. Maybe it's just that time of year for developers, I don't know. And Marvel Snap Bugle, as always, coming through clutch. And they just, again, talk about discrepancies between the direct feedback and engagement data. And specifically, Nathaniel Essex asks, which areas are they seeing these discrepancies on between the direct community feedback and actual player engagement statistics? They say very often the players are engaged in dialogue on forums, Reddit, Everybody's got the same opinion. Basically, the big negative vortex that anybody can get in, and it's all one thing. So Tucker says, great question. I'll start with a more innocuous example before diving into the trickier stuff. And I like how he says it. He basically goes on about back in February, a bunch of people were complaining about Dracula. They saw that negative feedback, but they looked in game and they didn't really see that data in game. You can read exactly what's on screen if you want to see specifically what he says. But basically, they decided not to change it, and they essentially were happy that they didn't because Dracula is still a decent card, and had they changed it, it could have caused some problems. He also goes on to say the data is an incomplete picture as well. Sentiment helps them interpret and explain the data. So decisions made on 100% data, 0% sentiment, are often subpar. And that holds true for any circumstance here. They say sometimes too much data and no sentiment's bad, and vice versa. So they really sort of have to take a wholesale look at both of them and make their best judgment. All right, now the juicy stuff. Negative sentiment on Spotlight cache. We're gonna go through this a little bit more because I think it's important. At this time, we know how much card progression folks are receiving per credit spent on the collection level track. Card progression equals tokens plus token value of the cards, with a discount factor on the cards to respect that not every player would have prioritized spending 3,000 to 6,000 tokens on this exact card. We know that the new system is giving out more card progression than the old system on a per credit basis. We're counting the old system's gold as part of the card progression, by the way. And this applies to both free-to-play and non-free-to-play players. So it all looks groovy, case closed, right? No. Now, again, this is the point that I've been sort of making. It's like, look, if you look at the data shows that you get more cards. And people are like, I'm still mad. And that makes sense because it doesn't feel good, a lot of the collection ladder. You have one spotlight that you're opening that week and you get the random one, bummer. Casual players, they might not even know about this. They open that, bummer, I'm out. It just doesn't feel good when it takes so long to get one of those and you don't get something to help move you forward. Whereas before with the tokens, it would be something that might help you move forward. So the sentiment of feeling bad, I get it. But again, that's an agency, that's a feeling versus people saying the new system just sucks because you don't get as much. Well, no, that's not what it was. So they luckily address here that it's more cards, but it feels bad. And he specifically says it would be an awful call here to look at just 100% data. The data is clearly isn't telling the full story. Zoom into that first spotlight cache everyone opened last week. On one extreme, 25% of them opened Jean Grey. And I'd bet the majority of those folks are probably pretty happy. Agreed. On the other extreme, 25% of them open a random series 4 or 5 card, which is the worst reward. And a significant chunk of those folks got the dupe fallback reward. So you've got maybe 10% of the player base whose very first experience with spotlight caches didn't deliver on the promise of more cards. Many of the folks rightfully raise their concerns with this and understandably believe that this means this system as a whole is messed up. And 10% of our players is a lot of people. So it gains a lot of traction. Does that mean the spotlight cache system as a whole has failed? No, but that means that the system should be fixed where it isn't delivering the promise. Absolutely. So this is where he's again leaning in that this stuff needs to be fixed, that there is a problem. And it's talking about the sentiment versus data, which I think is important for all of us to think about. So anytime that we have some problems in the future or with this one, we know how they're going to look at analytically. And that is something that we have to do as well. So we look at the data. This is the data. It's good, but it still feels bad. All right, so how do we make it so that it doesn't feel as bad? And then we've got Molly's post on Discord, which is knocking it out of the park so far. You can see a whole bunch of pluses up here. Looks like there was 983. I don't know what. Apparently, I can't act as super reacts. I'm not cool enough. We're making some upcoming adjustments to the Spotlight Cache system. So they're specifically saying that they are going to change this. Since we launched Spotlight Cache last week, we've been closely monitoring the community feedback and player data. We do see the Spotlight Cache accomplishing the primary goal of bringing more cards to players, which is something Tucker already talked about, but we hear your feedback and agree there's room for improvement. Again, what Tucker mentions well. Our highest priority by far is the random series 4 and 5 duplicate fallback. Obviously, that's a huge problem. We're going to start with a tuning change that we would quickly get into our next patch. So that means basically mid-August. I think the patch is around August 14th or 15th. Don't hold me to that one. We also have some future UI work planning and minor improvements to the surrounding systems that contribute to our card acquisition. What I am hoping that they are talking about here is they are encouraging hoarding with the Spotlight Cache system. And it is a serious pain in the butt to scroll on your ladder. You want to see? It's even worse for somebody who's saving boosters for cards that they haven't gotten yet. And it goes and it goes and it goes. Now, a lot of this is for me because of my boosters. Okay, so now I've got my collector reserves. Oh, I've got my collector reserves because those just aren't good, which is another thing we need to talk about here in a second. I'm just oh, there's one. Okay, so I got a Spotlight Cache. I want to open it. All right, where's my next one? Where's my next one? Where's my next? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So that's the type of thing where it's not great. The UI could be better. There could be sort of a separate ladder that just specifically calls out your Spotlight caches and has it so that you can scroll quickly to those. Now, whether that's what this means or not, I truthfully don't know. We'll be continuing to monitor, listen, and actively make changes to card acquisition until it's in a great place. More updates on that later. So it's the soon trademark, like what are they going to do? We don't know, but what are they going to do to Series 4 and Series 5? It specifically says here. In the next patch, random Series 4 and 5 duplicate fallback reward being changed from a premium mystery variant to 1,000 tokens. That's not bad. Now, I want to give a shout out to Cam Best and his community. They had done some math on their Discord, and we were talking about, we thought that maybe the token should be half the value of the series that you got. So if you got a Series 5 duplicate, then maybe you would get 3,000 tokens. If you get a Series 4 duplicate, you would get 1,500 tokens. They did some math on it. I didn't check it, but he's a smart guy and I trust him that if they gave us that many tokens, it would be too much. So this 1,000 token mark seems to be pretty good based on some of the math there. And this feels a lot better. So if you get a duplicate, it's like, well, I got 1,000 tokens, so it'll at least help me get a Series 4 or closer to Series 4, or even work up towards Series 5. This feels a whole lot better in my mind. Could they do something a little more? Maybe. You know, I don't know exactly what they do. Could they take out the dupe protection? Yeah, they could, but I know that part of their worry is the fact that people who are endgame, that it would make it so that they get that new card almost guaranteed every single time. And I know they don't like that because they feel like it's too pay to win. And I'm not going to argue against that. If someone thinks something's too pay to win, especially a developer, I'm good with them not going down that road. They said game development is an iterative process, so please keep sharing your thoughts and feedback. Your passion has been huge in getting us this far, and we promise to continue unlocking the potential of Marvel Snap for years to come. I like hearing this. I like seeing this. Generally speaking, I think this is good. I think that they reacted generally pretty quick to this. If it was a huge problem, could they have patched it and figured something out right away? Yeah, probably. Just save your caches. Don't open any. And so if you're wondering, well, wait a minute, I don't want to get this duplicate. I did this in another video, but I'm going to show you again. Should you be opening anything between now and the next patch? So what I'm looking at, we've got basically between the neck here and the next patch is probably 3 to 4 cards. I'm guessing Lady Deathstrike's going to drop just before this patch. So you are going to have to think about, do you want Legion? And are you going to risk a dupe? Or High Evolutionary Darkhawk? I think that's the week that people are going to go, oh, I really need High Evolutionary and Darkhawk. I have not gotten them yet. You know what? You might be right. Or if you've got a boatload of tokens saved up, then maybe wait. Or you know what would be a really nice thing? Hey, Second Dinner, all of these that are right here right now, can you repeat those directly after you change the system so that people who maybe don't want to open for this can get the chance to do it later? It's a thought. I don't think they're going to do it, but it's a thought. Mirage, I think it's a good card. Thanos, a good card as well. So it's like, Dakin, that week it's going to be Nimrod, Spider-Ham, and Galactus. I think that's a super easy skip right now. And then Lady Deathstrike should be the week where they make the change. I'm personally probably not opening much until September, but if I'm going to open up, I'm going to be looking at, man, I mean, honestly, all 3 of these are really good. But unless you need High Evolutionary or Darkhawk, even with Thanos, unless you really want Mirage, I would say, like, just buy Thanos from the token shop for 6k tokens. He's a big bad. He's never going to drop. Save yourself the spotlights for a different week. Again, unless you're going after Mirage, it is a good card. Sort of the same thing here with this week. I think if you need both High Evo or Darkhawk, go ahead and go for it. That way, if you get Legion, it's not a big deal. But you're going to know it's going to feel bad if you get this mystery. The point of this is there's probably not cards here that you're like, unless you're newer, you're probably easily saving and waiting until after these 3 weeks for this new system to be in place. So what do you think about their changes of 1,000 tokens? Do you think this is good? What do you think about waiting for until after Lady Deathstrike to be able to get this in place and not pulling any of those spotlights? Do you think they should do something in the meantime for those who might want to? I don't know. I'm still waiting to hear about Spider-Ham compensation because I opened a bunch of Series 4 on that time when he was supposed to be in there. Or wasn't. And anyway, that's a whole nother Oprah. So I hope this video was semi-helpful for you. If you didn't check it out, again, I wanted to do a quick weekend video while the family was here. No heavy edits in this one. Just wanted to get it out to you in case you missed these things. I know a lot of people might not be on Twitter and or Discord, and maybe you're driving in this hope you could listen to it. So if it was helpful, please consider hammering down that like button below. Comment, let me know what your thoughts are. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.